More than 10 years have passed since my mother's death. Every year I visit her grave, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 times a year, but one day at the end of July or at the beginning of August the first definitely come, tear all the grass, put things in order. And on August 3rd, I came to the grave and went about my usual business. After working for about 10 minutes, I heard a conversation coming from the direction of the nearest grave. 2 women were talking. Judging by my assessment of the votes, one belonged to a woman of 50 to 60 years old, and the second was very young, about 20 years old. It would seem that this is special. There are a lot of people at the cemetery during the day. The elderly woman was saying something instructively to the young woman, and the latter, before answering, laughed loudly, downright contagious. This is what really surprised me. I saw a lot of things in the cemetery, but even drunken visitors did not allow themselves to laugh like that. And here's something else remarkable. Between the fence of the mother's grave and the one from where the laughter rang, a sprawling lilac bush grew, so that the visitors were completely invisible. I do not like to get into other people's business and decided not to stick out. After all, what do I care? Laughing something girl on their grave. I tore grass and did not listen at all to the conversation of unusual visitors. The most surprising thing was that the voices sounded quite loud and clear, but it was impossible to understand a single phrase, even a single word, although I can absolutely say that the conversation was conducted in English. And suddenly it stopped, just as suddenly as it began. Here I had a keen interest to look after all at these women. I stood at the gate of my fence and slowly drank water from the bottle I had brought. The lilac did not block the path along the fences and it was simply impossible for them to go out by another path. I stood for 10 minutes, but no one came out onto the path. And then I got really curious. I quietly walked out onto the path and went to the very grave. What he saw was shocking. There was no one at the grave. I stood for a minute in complete bewilderment, then opened the gate and entered the graves. Then I state the facts, but judging by the names, the mother and daughter were buried. Mother 52 years old, died in May 2003. Daughter 26 years old, died in September 2003. I can't add anything else, but I don't want to fantasize.
Thank you for your attention. Subscribe to the channel.